Jazzmasters are a unique guitar where there really isn't a lot of reference points as far as where we see them in the volume of the classic Stratocaster or Les Paul. As somebody who is traditionally a Strat player, I always looked at a Jazzmaster with reverence for the people that used it, but also completely intimidated as I didn't really know what to do with it. I didn't really know how to use the sound in my own playing, and I didn't really understand the application. I have to say, having now lived with this one for a few months and finally now at the point where I feel comfortable enough with it where I can make a video about it, I have to say that it is by far one of the most versatile guitars I've ever played. So to backtrack, I had been on a Jazzmaster hunt for about 6 months, and I had gone and I'd played multiple custom shop Jazzmasters, vintage Jazzmasters, had gone to guitar shows in attempt to find one. And I always kind of felt like most of the ones that I tried, despite being apparently great examples of the instrument, I couldn't really adapt my sensibilities as a Strat player to a Jazzmaster. I felt like they felt clunky, they were often really heavy, they were imbalanced, could be weird to wear. And I think beyond that, I didn't really understand the controls. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that love all the functions of what a Jazzmaster does. But I came across Novo, and I know that this is no secret to a lot of people out there. Certainly friends of mine like Rhett Shull own these guitars and have been using them for a long time. But I had to say, I never really understood. I didn't get it. But after having gone through, again, these custom shops, these vintage versions, and still feeling unhappy, I was like, well, man, what do I have to lose? I can check out one of these. So I saw one that could come up for sale used locally, and it was in my budget and my price range. And I checked it out, and I'm absolutely blown away by this guitar. Whether it was Jazzmaster inspired or not, or how much fidelity it has, it's an absolute workhorse of a guitar. I want to show you everything that this guitar could do and how much I am in love with this Novo Serus J. It is truly one of the best guitars I own and one of the best guitars that I've ever played. So first I want to start with the neck pickup and just show you what this thing can do and kind of a traditional sort of bluesy thing. Now I'm always playing blues with my Strats and I'm in the neck pickup a lot. And any other guitar, whether it's even a single coil like a Telecaster, they always seem to kind of have a little something off. I feel like with this, if I roll the volume down a little bit and I use a nice overdrive, in this case, I'm going to throw on a little bit of a Greer Lightspeed. It just sounds like blues heaven. It has the throatiness that I would want out of a Strat, maybe a little bit different in terms of just the overall output. But man, just in terms of a take one guitar workhorse, just listen to this. I think you'll be convinced. Now, if that doesn't do it for you, maybe you're into more clean stuff. One of my reference points for great clean tone with a single coil is Andy Summers. I wanted to try some Walking on the Moon, adding in a little bit of chorus here from an M9, adding in a little bit of analog delay, also modeled by the M9, and a little bit of compression from a Dynacomp. I want to see how this does with just ringing out beautiful clean chords and just a little bit of clean rhythm and just see what we can do if we can approximate some of those beautiful Andy Summers tones. Let's have a listen. Now, I feel like that's beautiful I think it sounds fantastic. But one thing that I've been really enjoying with this as I've been doing recording here at home is going to that middle pickup, which is I think very unique on this guitar in particular, and just playing some nice kind of R&B rhythm. So I'm going to kind of riff around like a drift away type of thing. And it just sounds like quacky and spanky. There's like some telly elements to it, but it also has like some stratty elements to it. So let me know what you think. I'm going to play through that, and I think it's an amazing sound, very unique with this instrument. Let's check it out. So Drift Away, not exactly the same, kind of a poor man's rhythm guitar approach, but man, does this thing really shine. And I just have to remark again, weight on this. This thing is in the 6-pound range. It's a pine body, and man, it just sings. It's so resonant, and it just makes you have this feedback loop with the instrument where everything that you're putting into it is coming back to you. One thing that I think differentiates a good guitar from a great guitar, they can sound fine when we're using them in the context of two beautiful stereo Fender amps. Here we have a Bandmaster and a Deluxe Reverb, both from the mid-60s. But sometimes the tell can be, once you get these in a track, does the sound just disappear? So I want to try a couple more examples, hearing the guitar in the context of a track, and see if it still holds its own. A tone that I always go for that kind of helps me calibrate is doing some single notes, so soloing, a cleanish sound, and something that approximates one of my favorite single coil recorded tones of all time, which is the song Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, and the solo specifically. I know everybody likes to play the intro. So I'm going to actually play that original track. I'm going to take the guitar out. I'm going to put my guitar in, and let's see how it sounds, just trying to replicate some of the most beautiful recorded single coil guitar tones of all time and how this guitar holds up. Let's have a listen. I didn't play it exactly the same as John Mayer did, but I think that unquestionably this thing just sounded incredible. Whether it says Jazzmaster or emulates a Jazzmaster, it's unbelievably good. This is by far one of the best sounding guitars, again, that I have ever owned and that I've ever played, vintage or otherwise. But let's hear it in another context of a track. Let's try it more high gain, because we haven't really heard anything super busy, right? Super high gain, super distorted. I'm going to put on my Distortion, the Ibanez MT10 here on my pedal board, and flip to the bridge pickup, and I'm going to play a little bit of maybe what you would call a cheesy 80s rock song, Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Originally thought to be played by Dan Huff, but actually played by Richie Zito. And hear how this thing sounds. Let's see what it does with some gain. I mean, I would have been fooled if you had told me that this was a super strat. Listening to those tracks, I would have 100% believed it was, my Tom Anderson that has a 78 distortion kind of style humbucker pickup in the bridge. It would totally be believable for that. But yet, it's this guitar. It does everything so great. I want to try one more example, clean this time. Jangly, some chorus, some processing, and play a little Brass in Pocket from the Pretenders, one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite clean tones. And just get that jangly rhythm thing and just see how this does. I feel like people know these excel at that kind of jangly thing, but man, it really sounds incredible in that track, and just being able to get some of those open strings. Let's have a listen to that, hear a little bit clean. I don't know. Maybe you're looking at this as a Jazzmaster purist and saying, well, that's not a Jazzmaster. And maybe you're right. It's not. It's a Novo Serus J. But if you're somebody like me that's trying to make the transition from a Strat to a Jazzmaster, or a Les Paul to a Jazzmaster, again, Strat and Les Pauls being the primary guitars that I play, this felt like such a comfortable transition. And it got me close to the elements that you would want out of a Jazzmaster. It's got the nice floating bridge, this case a mastery, so a much more stable bridge as far as the tuning is concerned. I feel like the bending is incredibly easy. Sometimes Jazzmasters can get a little weird in that way, where it feels like you know where the note is supposed to be when you bend, but it's not there. This feels great on that in that regard. Intonation, perfect. I haven't even had this guitar set up. This is what the original owner had straight from Dennis Fano and the folks at Novo. It's an unbelievable guitar. So if you're somebody like me that is curious about a Jazzmaster and doesn't know where to go, highly recommend that you check out what Novo has to offer. They haven't paid me. I bought this guitar secondhand. I purchased it with my own money. And I have to say, more people should be using these. It's no wonder that guys like Rhett or my buddy Corey Congilio are using these things. They sound absolutely amazing. And I should have known better when I was talking with my buddy Justin Ostrander when we were doing our podcast with him. And he said that he thought the most versatile guitar was his Danacaster Jazzmaster. And he just said it could do everything. And, I heard it and I thought, well, it's just him. He's a great professional, a studio musician in Nashville. But it is absolutely true. Even a hack like me can get a lot of great sounds out of this. And it's just 2 pickups, 2 controls, and the truth. Absolutely amazing guitar. Highly recommend you check these out.